courage, the evidence, as they say, is in the pudding. So show me the money like my name was Cuba Gooding. It ain't fool's gold, it's gold, fool. Can't stop, won't stop, keeping it old school. So cool. Big Spoon is my nom de plume. I keep it popping like a needle in a new balloon. And if you don't know by now, then you need more schooling. Let loose, kid, get stupid. Got more flavor than I know what to do. It's to get your hands up if you're part of the movement. And bump to the baseline. I made it rock before your phone had FaceTime. Yes, sirree, you know my steez. I stay fresh to death like I'm drowning in Febreze. Up, up, and away we go. Up, up, and it's making me glow. Up, up, and away we go. Up, up, and liking it. Up, up, and away.
So what you just saw there was our DIY electric skateboard version 2.0. This board is really easy and fun to ride. It has a top speed of 30 kilometers an hour, regenerative braking, and a range of 10 kilometers per charge. It's based on our previous project, the electric longboard, but this time we've added a Bluetooth smartphone receiver, a simple charging system so you can charge all of your batteries at once, and we also used aluminum pulleys for better durability. In this video, I'm going to show you all of the parts we used to make this project, how to assemble them, and by the end, you'll know how to make your own electric skateboard. Let's get started. Now we're going to start with the mechanical part of the skateboard. It consists of this wheel assembly, motor mount, motor, and trucks. The trucks we chose are 180mm Paris trucks, and they came with the 83mm flywheels that we're going to use. Okay, so once you get your trucks, we're going to start with the wheel assembly by taking off one of the wheels. The next step is to attach a 36-tooth pulley to this wheel. But before we do that, we're going to need to drill some holes through the pulley using a drill press. While you're at the drill press, you're also going to want to get yourself a 2-inch washer and drill the following holes. Okay, now it's time to assemble. You're going to get your wheel. We're going to put a few spacers here, but that's optional. Then the pulley. Then we're going to thread some 1/4 inch by 2.5 inch bolts through the pulley and the wheel. Now if you're doing this project, it's important to get flywheels, which already have the holes going through them. You should end up with the bolts sticking out, so then just go ahead and put the 2-inch washer on like this. Secure it with nuts, and your wheel assembly is complete. For the motor, we went with the Turnigy AeroDrive 280 kV outrunner. To stick the motor onto the trucks, you're going to need a motor mount. This is the diagram for the motor mount we used, and you can just cut the exact same thing out of some 1/4 inch aluminum. Once you have your motor mount, you're going to want to weld it approximately 30mm from this part of the trucks. Before you do that, you want to dry fit everything to make sure it works. We didn't have access to a welder, so we used some scrap wood to secure the motor mount, then we just sent it off to a welder and he welded it on for like 20 bucks. Okay, now that we have a motor mount, we're going to attach the motor using some M4 bolts and washers. That looks good. Now we're going to have to run the belt between the motor and the wheel. So we're going to start that by placing 2 washers where the wheel should be. Then we're going to get our belt and put it on our wheel like this. And we're also going to put the small 14-tooth pulley on as well. And then we just slide the wheel onto the trucks and the pulley on the motor, like so. Now we need to secure the wheel on the trucks with a nut, but the 2-inch washer is in the way. So I'm going to take it off, put the nut on, and put the washer on again. Okay, now we're almost done. All we have to do is take our set screws that came with the small pulley and tighten them. Now that we've got the mechanical part finished, it's time to start looking at the deck. Pretty much any deck is fine as long as it has good clearance. So like a dropped longboard deck would not work. This is a reinforced skateboard deck where we simply drilled new holes for mounting the trucks. And speaking of mounting the trucks, let's mount the trucks. I'm using some spacers just to make sure that there's enough clearance. Okay, now that that's done, let's move on to the electronics. For the ESC, we went with an Easy Run 150 amp car ESC, which was the same ESC that we used in the electric longboard. 150 amps is a bit much. The motor is only rated for 60 amps, but a 60 amp ESC would really heat up a lot, which is bad because we used a contained enclosure, so that's why we went with the 150 amp. One cool thing I did with the ESC was I took apart the on-off switch and I hooked it up to a giant toggle switch in parallel. For the receiver, you could go with a Hobby King GT2B, which is very popular with DIY electric skateboards, but I wanted to do something different. I made a Bluetooth smartphone controller and an app for my phone. With this app, you can control the skateboard and program the ESC. It can do everything that the GT2B does, and it can even display the voltage of your batteries to within 0.05 volts. Right now, this is just a perf board design, but I'm working on etching these using my dad's CNC mill. Once I have a thoroughly tested version with lots of channels, I'm going to put up the receiver on currentcontrolsystems.com, which is my personal store, and then you guys can get your hands on this controller as well. For the batteries, we're using two 5 amp hour, 3 cell, 20C LiPo batteries. In order to connect these batteries together and to the ESC, we're using some 4mm banana jacks and 10 gauge wire. We also connected the ESC in parallel to this T-plug charging connector. Now you can just charge the batteries off the T-plug, but it's really recommended to balance your batteries as well. For that you'll need a 3 cell to 6 cell series adapter and a 6 cell balance cord. Here's the full schematic for the electric skateboard. For the enclosure, we ended up making one out of fiberglass. Now I realize that not everyone has the right tools to make something out of fiberglass. So what you can do is make it out of a project box or plastic container. It really doesn't matter as long as the electronics are secure. Another thing that we changed from the last build was that we added these electric conduit fittings. One small one for the ESC wires and a larger one for the balance and charging connectors. We don't actually know where we got these fittings from, we just kind of found them, but they keep the electronics dry. For this fitting, we even glued a gift card to act as a lid and to keep the charging connectors from going back into the case. And speaking of charging, it's really easy to charge this board. On our first board, we had to disconnect the batteries and then charge each battery separately. But now we can just plug in the balance lead and charging connector, set our LiPo charger to 6 cell, and charge away. Now unfortunately, we still can't charge at full speed because our charger limits the power to 50 watts. With this charger, it takes about 2 hours to charge, but with a 100 watt or 150 watt charger, we could probably do it in under an hour. So that's about it. I'm really happy with how this board turned out. It's incredibly fun to ride. Our next project is going to be an electric penny board with some really cool CNC parts. So be sure to like this video and subscribe. If you want a Bluetooth smartphone receiver, check out currentcontrolsystems.com. And as always, thank you for watching.